This is the first of two videos looking at the new cancellations module in Plait. When a scheduled event is not going to take place, you do of course always have the option of deleting that event from within Plait. But there are at least two reasons why you may not wish to do that. Perhaps the most obvious reason is that in many cases, even though an event is being cancelled, there will still be some charge. Indeed, if the amount of notice provided is very small, there may also be a pay element for that event. If the event were to be deleted, then Plait would not raise an invoice and would not raise a pay advice for that event, and therefore the cost and charge would have to be dealt with in another system. Another reason why you may not wish to delete cancelled events is the fact that this would destroy the audit trail. If you have a particular service user or a particular commissioner who is frequently cancelling events, you'll probably want to keep track of that situation and monitor it. And by keeping the cancelled events within your system, you'll be able to run a report to identify incidents of cancellations. So, if we're going to use cancellations within Plait, the first thing we need to do is configure the system. And the first step of that configuration is to set up a list of what we call cancellation scenarios. Let's take a look at the demo care organization, which is the parent organization in our demo database. I'll click on the scheduling tab, scroll down, and you'll see that 3 cancellation scenarios have been set up: provider cancelled, service user cancelled, and commissioner cancelled. So in this case, we are saying that the only thing that matters when an event is cancelled in terms of the final determination of the cost and charge for that event is who requested the cancellation. Was it us, the service user, or the commissioner? This is a very basic example. It may be suitable for you to set up something similar against your parent organization. That will filter down and be available to all of the various client organizations that you may have set up. However, it is very likely that you will have contracts with particular commissioners, or indeed particular private contracts, where the rules may need to be rather more fine-grained than this. Let's take a look at another example. I've got an organization set up called Specialist Care. So Specialist Care is a child organization, and if we look at the cancellation scenarios here, you'll see that there are 3 different scenarios set up, and here it's rather more important as to how much notice has been provided for the cancellation. Was it short notice, medium notice, or long notice? The title of the cancellation scenarios list says +3 inherited, and if I click there, we'll see that we are inheriting the 3 cancellation scenarios that we just saw against the demo care organization, meaning that those scenarios can also be used for specialist care. Now we've got our list of cancellation scenarios set up, we need to set up cancellation rules. Cancellation rules go against the individual contracts. So if you've got several different contracts with different commissioners, you will need to set up a cancellation rule list for each. Let's take a look at the Tariff Framework tab. Here we can see 2 contracts, and let's look first at the Specialist Private contract. The contract has a name and a group, as it always has, but we now have a new list of cancellation rules. Each cancellation rule specifies that in a particular cancellation scenario, the charge for the cancel event will be derived from this multiplier of the original charge with this minimum, and the pay for the cancelled event will be derived from this multiplier of the original pay with this minimum. The minimums are in each case optional, so a value of 0 will mean no minimum. The multipliers must be a value between 0, which will mean charge nothing, and 1, which means charge exactly what we were going to charge had the event not been cancelled at all. Let's take a look at our other contract. Here you can see that we have 3 different cancellation rules. Here we've got a rule for the provider cancelled scenario, commissioner cancelled scenario, and the service user cancelled scenario. So here we don't have rules for each of the short, medium, and long notice cancellation scenarios that were set up specifically for the specialist care organisation. But that is absolutely fine. We do not need to have a rule for each cancellation scenario, but by excluding those cancellation scenarios from the cancellation rules for this particular contract, what we're saying is that that short, medium and long criteria is not relevant, and that the only thing that's going to be relevant when cancelling events under this contract is the who, was it the service user, was it the provider, or was it the commissioner? So when on a day-to-day basis I go to cancel an event for a service user under this contract, I will not be able to choose the short, medium and long options. I will only be able to choose these three cancellation scenarios here. And that's it. It's simply a case of setting up lists of cancellation scenarios, and then for each of your contracts setting up a list of cancellation rules. In the next video we will look at the day-to-day operation, so how do we cancel events and what happens to an event when it has been cancelled.